Tonight on the W2 Report, Nexon versus Iron Mace. Is it happening? We discuss in 60 seconds.
This is the W2 Report with Sanji Homura. Here's Sanji.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the W2 Report. I am your host, Sanji Himura. We are joined today by Lord Cracker Squirrel, as always.
Oh, hello.
All right.
Are we live? Is this thing on? Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah. Yes, this is live. We're live. And this is really happening.
Oh,
But
no.
the bigger news coming out of Korea is Iron Mace versus Nexon over the fate of Dark and Darker. To give a little to give a 30,000 foot overview, we speculated at the time that at the time that this story first came out that Iron Mace would not go to legal action against Nexon. Where did we go wrong?
There was a certain hint of ruggedness to that.
Yes, there was, and apparently, Nexon is being prepared to fight a legal battle over the fact that one of their employees allegedly, I'm throwing that allegedly out there, stole some source code from Nexon. And why? Okay, let's back up a couple of steps. In February of this year, Nexon filed a bunch of copyrights over Project P3. Now, Squirrel, we took a look at this before the show tonight. Where do you think Nexon went wrong in filing these copyrights in February of this year?
Considering that everything showed up back in October, September,
Yes.
October, somewhere in that neighborhood, they started bitching about their copyrights and then realized they can't sue here until they file copyrights with the with
the United States Copyright Office.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's circle around to the copyrights themselves, and specifically these 6 characters.
That's right. They copyright the Barbarian, Cleric, Ranger, Thief, Wizard, and quote-unquote tanker. These are all common terms that go way back, with the exception of tanker. And even then, it still goes back. What, a couple of centuries? The idea of an oil tanker, an oil tank car. Yeah, that's kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nexon filed these copyrights with the express intent, I'm not going to mince words here, with the express intent to file this takedown notice. Now we're not going to read the whole thing for you. You can actually find a copy of the copyright notice over on Reddit, where we sourced the lot of this information from. Now, considering the fact that Nexon filed this DMCA on March 22nd, but Project P3 getting press as of August of last year, actually August 2 years ago. I'm gonna make mistakes here, and I'm gonna apologize for them. August of 2 years ago. So this news story is going to run 2 years old on August. And Nexon didn't think to protect their copyrights at that time?
Not here, obviously.
I mean, in Korea, it's very obvious. But when you have resources and things of that nature that are commonality in Unreal Engine files or Unreal Engines where you can find them easily in the Unreal Engine store, this presents a whole host of problems, not only for Nexon, not only for Iron Mace, but for Nexon as well. And as a matter of fact, this is all the file. There are 1,033 files that Nexon alleged Iron Mace to have stolen. With the exception of about 100 or so of these files, every single one of them came from the Unreal Engine store or has some commonality with a file in the Unreal Engine store. But even then, where the commonality between Project P3 and Dark and Darker end is these alleged 100 files that were allegedly made by Iron Mace.
And the concepts are actually quite common. A large chunk of this is, almost all of this actually, is either auto-generated by something, some piece of software, is part of some other SDK, or was purchased directly from the Unreal store. And we have a whole bunch of links for that. They're claiming copyright over things that were auto-generated by WYs and Unreal Engine itself, for example. All right. Can we get our Patty? You want to kind of glance at the thing in the Discord? That'd be great. All right. So, what else have we got here? Oh, and we can actually look at the things. You see, Unreal Engine has a specific naming convention that it really, 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 really likes. And if it doesn't get it, it tends to throw really, 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 really fun fits. So if you've got something that's named like another thing, you would, in somebody else's piece of handiwork, then where are you going to go? Unreal Engine likes these things. And if you use the standard naming conventions, of course, you're going to have file names that match. The question, of course, is can you get it open and look at it and do a pixel by pixel comparison, or a poly by poly comparison?
And the answer to that obviously is if you have something that Unreal Engine doesn't like, then you get all sorts of errors coming from the Unreal Engine itself.
Yep.
Not necessarily when you compile the results.
But sometimes you will get that at runtime. Anyway, Sanji, going back to doing polygon by polygon, or even vert by vert comparisons, positions, order number, etc. If they don't match up, you got a problem, because two different modelers aren't going to model the same thing the same way unless it's incredibly simple.
You're absolutely right.
Go into any modeling program and make a fork. Get your buddy to do the same. Chances are, not only did you not make it the same, that you didn't use the same method, you're not going to come up with this. We're probably not even going to come up with the same poly count. Never mind getting the exact position of every vertex is impossible. There are too many possible permutations.
You're right. There are way too many variables.
The same file name means nothing. So you have to get those open and look at them. Match them up with whatever the hell it is you've got. Actually, the best place to do that is to open them as wavefront object files, and then put them in put the both of them in a text editor and do the find replace thing, or just go and run it through a piece of software that will indicate whether or not the files are identical.
Yeah.
Text editors are lovely things. And for wavefront files, you can do that pretty much anywhere, and any object that can do a search that can do a search function.
Yeah, which is
actually there are actually bits of comparison software that will do that. That you can just feed a fucking asset, and there it goes. I know those things exist. I've used them.
I think what it boils down to is motive. At this particular junction, why would Nexon go after this indie studio that's made up of ex-Nexon employees and basically silence them at this point?
Because it could theoretically be a competitor to their product, especially if priced a bit lower. Now, here's the fun thing. And this is where Nexon actually tries to make its case that these assets are stolen. And I think they were talking mostly about source code anyway. They have to find a way to prove that. In that during the pandemic, yes, I said it correctly. No, I'm not apologizing for it. They went through. They got permission to set up a private server to contain these things from one of the execs. I don't know which one. Probably the CTO or some other similar creature, whatever their equivalent is in Korea. And it was left running. It was left intact and running thereafter. But that enabled them to work on shit from home. And then Nexon just left the damn server online when it was no longer necessary. So that's where they're saying now they're objecting because that's a thing. They'd be willing to bet some whatever critter signed off on that got at bare minimum a nasty tongue lashing.
Well,
And then
I would dare say, given the fact that Nexon is as big, if not bigger, than Konami is in Japan.
Yeah, but that's just it. Fuck Konami. Konami's the worst. They didn't manage to get Suikoden 1 and 2 launched on time, bastards.
Well, considering that Nexon is as big, if not bigger, than Konami is in Japan, that CTO that signed off on it, or other similar creature, probably got his ass reassigned to their fitness division.
Or something, yeah.
Or some low-level position. Now, given the fact that Iron Mace filed these copyrights in February, at bare minimum, they are guilty of perjury.
I wouldn't necessarily think that, but certainly there would be some serious bitching.
But the problem that we're having here is this is a bigger corporation wanting to choke out their competition through legal means, all because their failed project, which is P3 in itself,
Yeah, didn't they
was gaining
cancel it at some
traction.
point?
Yes? What?
Didn't they actually cancel that shit at some point?
Yeah, they canceled it. I think they canceled it like 6 months later.
So it was already dead by the time this thing got started.
Right.
Well, that doesn't exactly suggest that they have a whole lot of acclaim, but they might still be able to argue it. I mean, yeah, they could make the argument. Is it going to work? Probably not.
Okay. This is according to the Gamer.
If it's going to be worth it.
This is according to the Gamer. For context, P3 was announced in 2021 by Nexon. The allegations claim that this project was used as a prototype for Dark and Darker, but the idea was scrapped in favor of P7, a modern adventure survivor game. Dark and Darker devs left around that point.
And one of those that did leave was the one that had the private server.
All right. So we have this situation here where Nexon is. I guess we can wrap it up with this statement. Project P3 was canceled. Canceled by Nexon. Not seeing a market for it. But when Iron Mace comes around and proved that there's a market for this, Nexon wants a mulligan over
suddenly
Project P3. And I don't think that anybody is having that in this situation.
I wouldn't have that. Yeah, annoying.
Now, perhaps a legal mind will weigh in on the comments. Isn't the fact that copyright extends to first to market?
I don't know that all trademark does, but not necessarily copyright. The question, of course, is was there actually a copyright issue? And I think that's probably going to wind up being a court of law, be it in Korea or the United States. They filed the copyrights in the United States probably so they didn't get hammered over here. That and they had to make representations to Valve before they could issue a DMCA.
Okay, but isn't the point where Iron Mace is afforded some common protection just because they were doing these public play tests for free?
Well, in the most generic fashion, they can actually. There's a few things that they can do here. Iron Mace can file a counterclaim, which gives, I think it's like 2 weeks. So the 2 weeks or a month for them to, it's 2 weeks. Or at least it is in
14 days.
They got 14 days to sue, or the claim is vacated. Just as a function of the law in question, which is section 107, I believe, somewhere.
Section 512.
512? Okay. But that's actually part of the that's section 5. That's 512 of the Copyright Act, and the Copyright Act itself is section 107, if memory serves.
Right. You know, this is one of those times where I wish I'd ask a legal expert.
Well, I would have asked John, but there was some very upsetting news this morning. I know you know what I'm talking about, Sanji.
Yes, but it's not in my place to tell.
Yeah, well, that's John's thing, really. So, yeah.
I guess we can end it on this note. If you're expecting Iron Mace to fight off Nexon, don't expect it anytime soon, if at all.
Well, they may be in a position to do that, and given the given the numbers that they got in their beta test, I suspect they might actually be able to find funding for that.
It's not a question of I don't think Nexon cares about the money in principle.
Well, no, I'm talking about the money it would take to. I'm talking about the money it would take to put on their defense.
Well, defense or otherwise. I don't think Nexon cares about the money at this juncture.
They care.
They
would care more about whether or not they can actually get this. They can make it. They can get this shit. They can get these guys out of the market, which is unfortunate at best.
Which leads me to this point. I don't think this is a money issue. I think this is a time issue.
A what issue?
A time issue. If they force Iron Mace to keep spending money in their defense, now we compared Nexon size to Konami, and we did not mince words for a reason. Nexon can afford to spend money, and waste valuable time up to the point where Iron Mace would be effectively dead by the time the courts got around to deciding this case. Well, regardless of that, though, we will be keeping an eye on this story, and we will follow this up with a turkey show. Whenever there's significant news on the story. Squirrel, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I really don't. Can't think of anything that I'd want to bugger. I can't think of anything I'd want to bug people about at this point.
Well, until the next time we see you, do all the YouTubey things. And beware, the tax man cometh.
The end of the fight. Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast day. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.